Hello, this is Mrs. Smeckens, and for the last several lessons, we've been working on really paying attention to the voices in our head. We've talked about our reading voice that reads any kind of text, words, photos, videos, math text, language arts, doesn't matter. No matter what we read, we can take in the information and we have thoughts about it. We've been talking about these different reader voices, and I've introduced you to two. But there's actually a third. In this lesson, I want to introduce you to the third reader voice. Readers have three different voices. And this third one is called the distracting voice. Now, as I add distracting voice to our anchor chart, what I want you to notice is that we have a green, a yellow, and now a red voice. And if you think about a traffic light, green means go, yellow means slow, go through the reading, listening to your reading voice slowly, cautiously, listening to the whisper of the thinking voice. But what does red mean on a traffic light? Stop. Yeah, here's the thing. Do you see how the distracting voice kind of has this alarm, scary, lightning, jagged look to it? Yeah, that's because when our distracting voice starts talking to us, we need to stop it. We need to shut it down. We need to hit mute on that voice. Okay, now wait a minute. All readers have all three voices. You have a distracting voice. I have a distracting voice. Good readers have a distracting voice. It's normal. The thing is, we have to figure out, we've got to learn how to mute it, turn it off. It's going to talk to us sometimes, but we've got to turn it off. See, the thing about the distracting voice is it talks to us. When I'm reading the words on the page, the text on the screen, when I'm reading it, I'll pause and every once in a while I'll hear thoughts. Oh, I'm thinking, but I am not thinking about the text. No. Let's think about that word distraction, distracting. Have you ever heard that word before? What does that mean? If it's a distraction, it's off task. It's not paying attention. So your thoughts are not paying attention to what you're reading. They're off task of what you're supposed to be reading and thinking about. Yeah, that's what we have to be careful of. And that's why the distracting voice is on the red sign. Stop any distractions when they start to creep in. Well, let's talk a little bit about what kinds of thoughts, what kinds of things does the distracting voice say? Well, when you're reading, and whether it's in a book or on an iPad or a laptop or whatever it is, when you're reading, and then sometimes you see a word, you see a detail, you see something in the visual, you see something, and instead of thinking, what does that mean? What does the author want me to understand? What am I trying to figure out? Instead, you think, I'm hungry. What's for lunch? You might be thinking, how much longer? I'm kind of bored. You might smell something. What is that smell? You might hear something. You might notice something. But whatever it is, you stop reading and thinking about the text and you start thinking about something else. And I'll tell you right now, here's the problem. When you are not thinking about what you're reading, you're not going to understand it. You're going to get to the bottom of the page. You're going to get to the bottom of the screen. You're going to get to the end of the book. And you're going to be like, what was that about? I don't even know. That's the problem with the distracting voice. It can have us pretending to read. Oh, we're still reading the words. We're still saying all the words, but we're not thinking about them. Nope, we're thinking about something else. And we think, well, I'll just keep saying the words and thinking about lunch, saying the words and thinking about how much longer. And I can tell you when you get to the bottom, it's not going to make any sense. That's the problem with the distracting voice. Do you see how the thinking voice and the distracting voice are on the same side of the reader? Yeah, that's on purpose. Because when you're reading, you are either thinking about what the text means or you're thinking about something else. You can't do both of these at the same time. When we talk about this idea of reading voice, distracting voice, we aren't going to make a distracting voice sign. You know how we had our little mini reading voice, thinking voice? Okay, you don't need a distracting voice. You need to recognize when those thoughts are creeping in. But we don't actually want to have a sign for distracting voice. Let me show you what distracting voice might sound like. And then how do you turn it off? How do you mute it? And so I'm going to show you my screen. And do you remember we were reading that article about YouTube in our previous lesson? Actually, we just read the first couple paragraphs when I was showing you how you can have reading voice, thinking voice with nonfiction. Okay, so these first couple paragraphs we've already read. It was just, how we're watching videos twice as long, and they interviewed a lot of young Americans, and you can't be on YouTube unless you're 13. Okay, so we already read this. Let me go to the next page. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to read it, and I'm going to stop, and I'm going to have a thought, okay? But my thought isn't going to be about the text. It's going to be a distraction. And I want you to hear what some distracting voice thoughts are. Okay? All right, here we go. YouTube is the favorite site. The group talked to more than 1,000 young people between 8 and 18 years old. 8 years old. Yeah, I used to be 8. 8 was good. I used to do anything I wanted when I was 8. How long is this? How much longer are we going to be doing this? Well, I'll just keep reading. Who cares? Preteens are kids between the ages of 8 and 12 years old. Teens are people between the ages of 13 and 18. About half of the, oh my goodness, so many numbers. 8, 18, 12, half, who cares? I'm just going to jump ahead. I'm going to jump to young people would rather watch videos online. I'd rather be watching online right now instead of reading this. Do you see it? Do you see how I'm having thoughts? But they're not helping me make meaning of the words. I'm not thinking about the text. I'm thinking off the text. I used a detail in the text and then boom, I went to some crazy place and I started being distracted. And the problem is, if you get distracted and then you just pick up and keep reading more and who cares, whatever, and keep on reading those lines of text and who cares, get her done. By the time you get to the end of the text, you're going to have no idea what you read. Everybody has a distracting voice. I have a distracting voice. The difference is when you're reading, thinking, and you realize, whoa, I'm thinking about something else. We got to stop. We've got to stop. And we have to, the thinking voice, your brain has to say, hey, distracting voice, zip it. Shh, we're trying to read. Mute it. Then the thinking voice has to apologize to the reading voice. So I wasn't paying attention. Distracting voice was distracting me. Would you go back a couple lines? Would you go back a paragraph? Would you go back just a little bit and start reading again so I can think? So then we read, the group talked to more than 1,000 young people between 8 and 18 years old. Oh, So a young American, like they said in earlier paragraph, a young American is anybody 8 to 18. So not kindergarten, not first grade, those kids that they're too young. So only 8 to 18. Got it. Preteens are, do you see it? It's normal to get distracted. Totally fine. Totally fine. But not totally fine if you're like, who cares? And you keep being distracted. You've got to mute it. You've got to apologize. And then you have to start again. Okay? You don't have to go all the way back. Oh, no, 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 no. If you were reading and thinking and reading and thinking and reading and thinking for a while, and then you 4 pages later realized, I wonder what's for supper. Whoa, whoa, whoa. You only have to send the reading voice back a little bit. You don't have to go all the way back to the beginning. So you have to go back to figure out, okay, I remember that, I remember that, I remember that. I don't remember that. All right, reading voice, pick up on page such and such. Okay, reading voice, go back to the 8th paragraph because that's where I got distracted. Let's have you try this with me. And I don't want you to try to be distracted. No, we don't need practicing of that skill. What I want to do is read the next paragraph in this YouTube article. And while I'm reading it, I'm going to then have a thought. And I want you to decide, is it a thinking voice thought? Yes, she is using her thinking voice and she's thinking about what the text means. Or is the thought I'm having not about the text and it's a distraction? And you give me a thumbs down and say, Miss Meckens, you're distracted, and notice it. I want to know if you can notice the difference between a thinking voice thought and a distracting voice thought. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to start here in this paragraph, young people, okay? That second paragraph on the screen. Okay, so this is my reading voice, right? All right, here we go. Young people would rather watch videos online. I'm thinking that, yeah, I'm a young person if I'm 12 years old and I would like to watch videos online. I think that's a true statement. So was I thinking about the text or was I thinking about something else? Thumbs up or thumbs down? Yep, that was thinking voice. That was thinking voice. All right, here we go. They are watching regular television less. We have like 2 TVs. Well, we actually have 3 TVs if you count the one that my brother uses for his gaming, but it doesn't really show TV. So we actually have 2 real TVs in our house. And so, you know, we have some TV. Yeah, we watch TV. And yeah, one TV is bigger than the other one. I'm having a thought. Is my thought about the text and what it means? Or is my thought about something else? I was distracted. Did you see how it happened? This is totally normal, you guys. Let's look back with our reading voice. Let's look back. They are watching regular TV less, regular television less. Now, wait a minute. My reading voice said the word television. That's what makes the distracting voice hard. Sometimes the same word that can have you thinking about the text can lead you somewhere that is not going to be helpful. And so you have to make sure that what you're thinking helps you better understand what you're reading. Okay, let's do another one. Okay, here's my reading voice. Okay, next sentence. Only a third of teens said they enjoy watching TV a lot. 4 years ago, young people enjoyed watching television much more. So I'm thinking 4 years ago, I watched more TV. That's what this article's saying. And so that's that. And I don't watch as much TV now. I mean, I might watch Netflix, but that's not like television. And so, yeah, I think that's true. Okay. Was my thought, they're both thoughts, but was my thought a thumbs up thinking voice or a thumbs down distracting voice? I think it was thinking voice too, because it helped me make meaning of the text. Every day as readers, we see all kinds of text, some with words, some with pictures, some with videos, some fiction, some nonfiction, some short, some long. We see all kinds of text. And as readers, we have three kinds of voices. And just like a traffic light, we want to go through the reading with our reading voice, slowly listening for the whispers of the thinking voice that tells us what that text means. But every once in a while, your thoughts are not going to be about the text. And it's red like the traffic light. Stop. Stop reading. Stop your reading voice. Stop the distraction voice. Put it on mute. Go back and reread. Get your reading voice and thinking voice talking to each other again. This is what readers do. If you were in Mrs. Smecken's class right now, here's what we would do. We would finish this article about YouTube. There are several more paragraphs, okay? And so you're going to finish reading it, and you're going to use your little mini sign, reading voice, thinking voice, reading voice, thinking voice, read a little, have a thought, read a little, have a thought. But today, while you're reading, I want you to really make sure that your thoughts are about the text, that helping you make meaning of the text. And it's possible that sometimes when you're reading, you're going to get distracted, get bored, not want to do this. And what do you have to do? Ooh, stop the reading voice. Don't let it read anymore. Mute that distracting voice in your head. Apologize. Tell the reading voice to go back a little bit. And then re-engage. Read a little, think. Read a little, think. Read a little, think. See if you can read the rest of this article without any distracting voice comments. If you were in Mrs. Smecken's class, that's what we would do next. But your teacher might have a better idea.